Axis number 6, inversion.
Carl Gustav Jacob Jacobi, a brilliant 19th century mathematician, popularized the maxim, invert, always invert.
I love that quote.
It's so useful because complex systems are often too tangled to solve with forward linear thinking. The most powerful tool is often to think backwards.
So instead of asking, how do I achieve this incredibly complex positive outcome, you ask, what actions would guarantee absolute catastrophic failure?
Right.
And then you dedicate your energy to rigorously avoiding those specific actions.
Exactly. By defining the negative space around a problem, you often reveal the shape of the solution much faster than by staring directly at it.
That makes a lot of sense.
This is a foundational principle in mathematical proofs by contradiction. If you want to prove that there is an infinite number of prime numbers, it's hard to just keep counting forever.
Because it's infinite.
Right, so you invert it. You assume there's a finite number of primes. Then you walk that assumption forward until it creates a mathematical absurdity. By proving the finite assumption is impossible, you prove the infinite reality is true.
We see this deeply embedded in complex engineering too. Think about the Apollo missions, or like building a suspension bridge.
Oh, absolutely.
The engineers don't sit around a table just visualizing a successful launch or a sturdy bridge. They conduct obsessive failure mode and effects analysis.
They're looking for disasters.
Yes, they list every conceivable way a seal could freeze, a sensor could short circuit, or a cable could snap under high winds. They designed the system specifically to survive those inversions.
And this isn't just for math and rockets, by the way. The Stoics baked inversion into their daily psychological practice with premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they wouldn't wake up and manifest positive thoughts about wealth and health. They would actively, vividly imagine losing their status, contracting a terrible illness, or being exiled.
That sounds depressing.
It sounds like it, but by inverting their desire for a comfortable life and mentally inhabiting a tragic one, they achieved two things.
Who are they?
First, they built immense psychological resilience against actual misfortune. And second, they generated profound, immediate gratitude for the present moment. Inversion strips away the noise.
Okay, we're at the 7th and final bedrock coordinate. And this one acts as a giant warning label pasted over the first 6. Axis number 7. The map is not the territory.
All models are wrong, but some are useful.
That's George Box, right?
Yes. That aphorism is the ultimate expression of epistemological humility. The concept that the map is not the territory means that your internal perception of reality, no matter how mathematically rigorous or philosophically sound, is not reality itself.
It's just a proxy.
It is merely a heavily compressed, simplified projection.
If you're visiting New York City and I hand you a pocket map of the subway system, that map is incredibly useful. It helps you get from Brooklyn to Manhattan.
Right.
But the map doesn't capture the smell of roasted nuts on Fifth Avenue, the sound of the subway brakes squealing, or the wind coming off the Hudson River. If the map captured all the complexity of the actual city, it would be the city, and it would be far too large to fold up and put in your pocket.
Exactly. A model must discard information to be useful. But the danger arises when we forget that we discarded information.
That's when we get into trouble.
Huge trouble. And this theme echoes throughout human history. In Plato's allegory of the cave, prisoners mistake the two-dimensional shadows cast on the wall for the three-dimensional reality of the world.
Right. The shadows are the map.
Yes. In the 18th century, Immanuel Kant meticulously defined the boundary between the phenomenon, the world exactly as it appears to our sensory apparatus, and the noumenon, or the thing in itself.
Which is the actual territory.
Exactly. It's the objective reality that exists entirely independent of our observation, and which we can never truly access.
It even reaches into modern physics, doesn't it?
Yes. Look at the quantum observer effect. If you fire electrons through a barrier with two slits and you don't measure which slit they pass through, they behave like a wave, creating an interference pattern on the wall behind it.
Okay.
But the moment you place a detector to measure which slit the electron goes through, the wave function collapses. The electron behaves like a solid particle, and the pattern changes.
Just by observing it.
Just by observing it. The sheer act of the observer measuring the territory actually alters the territory.
Let me see if I have this right. You're saying that every single cognitive bias, every piece of political dogma, every stubborn argument we have, essentially stems from a failure of Axis 7.
In a way, yes.
We mistake our internal, simplified map of how the world works for the complex, messy territory of the actual world.
Precisely. Maintaining a deep, abiding skepticism of your own models, knowing that they're just temporary tools of compression, is the absolute most important meta-model of all.
It's the safeguard.
Right. Claude presents these 7 axes: Bayesian updating, entropy, evolution, feedback loops, emergence, inversion, and the map, versus the territory. Not as a finalized dogmatic religion, but as the underlying scaffolding of reality.
Okay, let's take a breath here. Because looking at this structure we've just built, it is magnificently elegant.
It's a beautiful system.
It really is. If you can actually internalize these 7 axes, you essentially possess the cheat codes to the universe. You can navigate complex systems, avoid cognitive traps, and adapt to any environment.
In theory, yes.